Sound assembly. Distinguished guests, family members, friends, and shipmates, welcome to the retirement ceremony of Senior Chief Keith Jermyn. My name is Jeff Chunglo. I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for today's event. Today we will honor and witness the military closure of a portion of Senior Chief Jermyn's life that has been gratifying and rewarding, and a good service to his nation. The retirement ceremony is a time-honored expression of appreciation for a job well done, an official recognition of a long period of faithful and admirable service. Today, we also honor Keith's family for their support and dedication. They have dealt with a multitude of challenges during Keith's Navy journey. We honor his family's courage and steadfastness and offer our best as they enjoy Keith's retirement and continue to support our nation through Ensign Jermyn's service. The retirement ceremony itself has changed over the years as the Navy has evolved from predominantly a seagoing command to both sea and shore-based commands. Tradition has it that the commanding officer would say a few words about the retiree, and fellow shipmates would present gifts recognizing their years of service. Following comments by the retiree, he would request permission to go ashore, and then he would be piped ashore. In Keith's case, marking the end of 28 years of distinguished service to the Navy. Please feel free to take pictures throughout the ceremony, except during the national anthem. Military personnel will remain covered for the duration of the ceremony. Would you please rise for the arrival of the official party? Presentation of colors, followed by the national anthem and invocation. Senior Chief Petty Officer, U.S. Navy, arriving. Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, arriving. Lieutenant, United States Navy, arriving. Colonel, United States Marine Corps, retired, arriving. Captain, Civil Engineering Corps, U.S. Navy, arriving. Bugler, to the colors.
Hey, salute!
At this time, our national anthem will be performed by Callie Palacio.
Raise it! Ho!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last mast gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order! Halt!
Our invocation will be delivered by Colonel Phil Anderson.
Good afternoon. May the peace of God our Father, the source of all blessings, be with you all. Today, we honor the service, and today we give thanks for the contributions and incredible sacrifices of Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn. Sacrifices made for each and every one of us, and not just his sacrifices, but the enormous sacrifices of Lisa and his family made to support his selfless service. Ours is a society that worships and celebrates sports figures, pop icons, movie stars, and in some cases politicians as our heroes. But those of us gathered here this afternoon know that the real heroes are those who put themselves in harm's way in pursuit of all those who would do us harm, so that our so-called heroes can sleep quietly in their beds at night. Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn is one of those special warriors. With 6 deployments, and 5 of them combat deployments, he willingly leaned in to help defeat all those that would do us harm. We, who have been privileged, who have been blessed to wear the uniform, believe that God gave America the greatest gift he could bestow on man while he lives on this earth: our freedom. This will endure as long as we have Americans like Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn, who are willing to look beyond their own self-interest and their own comfortable lives and go into the darkest and most dangerous places in the world to hunt down all those who would do us harm. Dear Lord, today we remember the service of our dear friend, our dear brother, Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn. Today we honor and today we give thanks for a man who continuously gave his best, his absolute best, when he was called upon to serve. We pray, Lord, that you will bless him and that you will bless his family and that you will bless all his colleagues who continue their unselfish service in the struggle to preserve our freedoms and keep us safe. And may the Lord God Almighty bless us all on this great day of celebration.
Bosun, retire the side boys. And will the guests please be seated? Good afternoon and welcome to our local state, and federal dignitaries here today, along with the family, friends, and shipmates to this special occasion marking the retirement ceremony of Senior Chief Keith Jermyn. At this time, I'd like to introduce the officer of the deck, Lieutenant Howard Kroll.
Good afternoon. To the family of Senior Chief Jermyn, all the distinguished guests that are in the audience, Captain, thank you for being here. Very honored to have your presence today. As you know, we're here to commend Senior Chief Jermyn on his decision to retire. He's another great American that has served his country for many decades, and he served his country with honor, courage, and commitment. As you know, he started his career in June of 1985, and by the looks of the people in the audience, that's probably way before a lot of your time. Sorry, I didn't mean to age you. Senior Chief served 6 years on active duty from 1985 to 1991. Got off active duty after serving in the fleet, learning seamanship, military bearing, and most of all, what it means to serve as a junior sailor out at sea. It's not for everyone, but he did it well, just like everything else he does well in life. Fast forward, serves 2 years in the Navy Reserve from 91 to 93. He gets out, he marries Lisa, they have children, they have family, and he gets used to civilian life here in Hingham. Fast forward to Tuesday, 11 September 2001 at 8:45 a.m. As you all know, our lives as Americans changed greatly on that day. It was never going to be the same. And at that moment, patriots like Senior Chief Jermyn raised their hand to defend our country at whatever cost. Thankfully, Senior Chief Jermyn and thousands like him served our country, and they did it well. They never asked for anything. Senior Chief Jermyn joined the Seabees of NMCB 27, rose through the ranks, deployed numerous times, as Senior Chief Chunglo had mentioned. And in July of 2009, a Navy admin 28608/09, that for you trivia buffs out there, was the notice that Senior Chief Jermyn at the time was advanced to Chief Petty Officer. There's a number of his teammates in the audience, including myself. On July 18th through September 20th of 2009, we quickly assembled into a gaggle, as they call them, amongst the genuine chiefs that are in the audience. We formed and, we came together. But I did want to tell you that the Webster's Dictionary definition of a gaggle is a flock of geese that are not in flight. Unfortunately, there is another definition of a gaggle, and that is a cluster lacking organization. Wow, 13 years later, I really thought we were referred to as a flock of geese. But that kind of reminds me all the time the word cluster was thrown around regarding our group. All I can say is I'm glad I don't have great hearing, so thank you. Really, this ceremony is for Senior Chief Jermyn's family. Lisa, I want to commend you and your children for sacrificing during those years that your husband was deployed to faraway places that are unknown. You're the ones that sacrificed greatly. I know Senior Chief Jermyn served his country and did what he had to do, but you're the ones that were out a husband and a father during those periods of time. And I hope everyone in the room recognizes the importance of that, because that's what this ceremony is truly all about. Ms. Jermyn, Mother Jermyn, I want to commend you for raising a very honorable gentleman. I've known him for going on 16 years, and I can tell you everything the man does, he does with integrity, devotion, and enthusiasm. Without hesitation, he represented your family with high distinction over the years of his service. So I commend you for what you did for us. Thank you. Is there any leadership for the town of Hingham that is present here today? First of all, I want to commend you for hiring probably one of the greatest patriots that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has probably ever known. I know Senior Chief Jermyn takes great pride in serving his fellow veterans, their family, and everyone else that seeks assistance as a veteran. He has that keen sense of being able to make them feel appreciated, honored, and respected. I know everyone in this room admires that accomplishment just as much as we identify what you did while in uniform. Thank you. And finally, to Senior Chief Jermyn, I want to thank you for your friendship over the years. I want to thank you for all the good times that you provided me during some of the hardest times of my life, and being a rock for all of us that are in this room. I got to admit, you've earned the right to retire. However, I did bring with me re-enlistment papers just in case this was a big misunderstanding. I tried. On that note, Senior Chief and your family, I want to wish you all the happiness and success in the world. You greatly deserve it. Fair winds and following seas, shipmate. We look forward to you being part of our life continuously, and we wish you the very best. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to invite Master Chief Rob Ferlino to offer some remarks.
Mine won't be as long. BZ on a career well done, 20 years. So, good afternoon, distinguished guests, family, friends, and Chief's Mess. First, I'd like to congratulate Keith and his amazing wife, amazing family, wife Lisa, mother Nancy and his children, Nick, Callie, and JT, also known as Ensign Jermyn now. Congratulations. Being part of the military family is far from easy. It takes sacrifice, dedication, love of country, and for their beloved soldier, or in this case, a CB. Now, that is how the saying, a military wife or family is the hardest job in the Navy came about. Keith brings an energy with him everywhere he goes. During my years of service with him, I realized he also was very funny and uplifting. I can't tell you how many times I've walked away from a weekend, an event, a meeting, or whatever, and my stomach hurt from just laughing and joking with him. More often than not. The Chief's Mess saw his spirit of motivation every time he entered the Westover Air Force Base for what we are better known as Dog Patch. We were during the season of caring and we were making chiefs. The 1MC, as he was affectionately called at the time, arrival by the rhythmic tunes of cadence emanating from his Jeep at eardrum breaking levels. Well, it energized us all, and I'm sure it energized the selects as well. A quick personal story about Keith. Keith convinced me to go on what he called a quick beach run. So I'm out there in California with Keith and Elma. And I used to be a runner years ago, gave it up for biking, much better on my body. I liked it a lot better. But nonetheless, he pulled me in, and after what seemed like 5 miles, probably closer to 3, but for the story it sounds better with 5, I realized that we hadn't turned and headed back yet. And I was running on fumes at this point. You know, I had energy until that point, but it just deflated right there once that thought entered my head. So Keith did keep me motivated and energized to finish that run with help from Alma. So on behalf of your brothers and sisters, thank you for all the energy you brought to all your assignments. If you listen to the chiefs speak, we address each other as brothers and sisters. What is a brother and a sister? In the traditional sense, it means a sibling. We, who have been in the Navy long enough and privileged enough to achieve the rank of Chief Petty Officer, fully understand the true meaning of our brotherhood and sisterhood. As chiefs, we give this respectful title to those we hold no biological relationship to, those chosen few people who we share a common goal: respect, trust, and love. We are bounded by this love of our beautiful country, our commitment to defend and protect the United States of America, our unwavering loyalty to each other and the United States Navy. Simply put, we live our lives a little bit differently than most civilians in the workplace. We carry this bond of camaraderie long after our job assignments with each other are complete. Just because we go in different directions, our sense of brotherhood and sisterhood remain. Our friendships are cemented long after our tours are finished. Keith, your struggles and triumphs are not only yours alone. Along with your family, the CPO mess will help you carry the weight of any issues and celebrate your every success. Why? Simple reason: we are family for life. We are the United States Navy's Chief Petty Officers Mess and the United States Navy, which you're still a part of in retirement. Lisa, Nancy, Nick, Callie, and JT, thank you for loaning us your husband, son, and dad. Congratulations, Keith, on 28 years of service and a well-deserved retirement. Love you, brother. BZ. Senior Chief Jermyn, attend Hut. Department of the Navy, the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. Dear Senior Chief Jermyn, you have tirelessly served your Navy over the past 28 years in selfless dedication to a life of service that very few in our nation have been willing to shoulder. It is my sincere honor and privilege to congratulate you on this truly memorable day. As we stop all engines and lay about smartly, to recognize you and your family upon your retirement from the United States Navy. In our service, there's a saying: officers run the Navy, however, chief officers make the Navy, chief petty officers make it run. Senior Chief, you made the Navy run. Throughout your career, you have understood the importance of nurturing the talents, strengths, and leadership abilities of each sailor, thus ensuring our Navy maintained its edge as the greatest Navy in the world. As a Chief Petty Officer, neither your life nor your career were easy. Others' needs always superseded your own, and you always sought to further team goals, never looking for accolades. Often overlooked, but never undervalued, the greatest strength of the Chief is to be quiet yet powerful presence that, simply put, makes it happen. This you accomplished with a rare good grace. As we render honors today, posting the sideboards and piping you ashore for one final time, bidding farewell to a shipmate, please accept my personal gratitude for all the sacrifices, your strength and service, and a personal commitment to the entire Navy family truly made a significant impact. I wish you and your family all the best. Sincerely, Russell L. Smith, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy.
Senior Chief Jermyn will now be presented various certificates recognizing his commitment to Hingham, the Commonwealth, and the nation. Select Board Chair Bill Ramsey from the Hingham Select Board will offer his remarks.
Thank you, Senior Chief Jermyn, Lisa, the entire Jermyn family, distinguished guests, and to all those attendants on behalf of the Select Board, welcome to Hingham Town Hall. at the E-Ring in the Pentagon, just outside the Defense Secretary's office, is a biblical passage. Isaiah 6:8. And it reads, "When the Lord called out, whom shall we send? And who will go for us?" Isaiah stepped forward and said, "Here am I, send me." In 1991, when Iraqi tanks invaded Kuwait, and the Middle East and the world was in turmoil, Senior Chief Jermyn stepped up and said, "Here am I, send me." When our country was attacked after 9/11, Senior Chief Jermyn again raised his hand and said, "Here am I, send me." In the wake of Operation Iraqi Freedom, when that country needed to be rebuilt, Senior Chief and his team of Seabees sounded off with a loud and thunderous "can do" and deployed to Iraq and helped to rebuild that country. And when the African continent, parts of it, were occupied by elements of terrorism, he again deployed to the Horn of Africa to support counterterrorism operations. And last month, his military career came to a long and storied ending. It was almost a perfect ending in a way. At Annapolis, Maryland, he passed the guidon of naval service to his youngest son, JT, and saw him become commissioned a naval officer. Really a perfect ending to a phenomenal career. And ladies and gentlemen, this country owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to Senior Chief Jermyn, to Lisa, the entire Jermyn family, a debt that we can never repay, but only acknowledge. And through it all, he cared for the veterans of Hingham with honor, with distinction, and I would submit to you, proved himself to be the best veteran service officer in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So without further ado, I want to read a proclamation from the Select Board, and brevity is not our strength in Hingham, so we'll work through this. Whereas Hingham is a community that recognizes the contribution and personal sacrifice of our military personnel and their dedication to protecting our freedom. And whereas Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith A. Jermyn has honorably served this country and the Hingham community through his service in the Navy since 1985. And whereas Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn, throughout his military career, has served with honor and distinction in numerous positions in the United States Navy and the United States Navy Reserve. And whereas his unwavering commitment to duty and unparalleled professionalism have consistently earned the respect of subordinates, peers, and superiors alike. And whereas his experience gained from multiple deployments around the globe proved invaluable while serving in numerous positions of leadership, such as squad leader, platoon commander, detachment officer in charge, and company chief. And whereas Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn's superior performance throughout his illustrious career has earned him numerous awards, citations, and medals, And whereas Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn continues his dedication to our country's veterans through his work for the town of Hingham as a certified Commonwealth of Massachusetts Veteran Service Officer, responding day and night to assist local veterans and their family members in need. And whereas as a lifelong Hingham resident of his beloved hometown of Hingham, Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn continues to give back to his community by acting as a dedicated mentor and conscientious role model to Hingham's youth. And whereas Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn is retiring from the United States Navy after 28 years of extraordinary naval service. Now, therefore, we, William C. Ramsey, Elizabeth F. Klein, and Joseph M. Fisher, Select Board of Hingham, honor Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn upon his retirement from the United States Navy and bestow upon him our heartfelt gratitude and wish him and his family many happy and healthy years to come. Signed this 18th day of June, 2022. And on a personal level, I have to present to Senior Chief a United States Army Trial Judiciary coin. I serve as a military judge in the Army Reserve, and I tempted to sound off with a loud and thunderous "Go Army, beat Navy," but I'm looking around the room, and I don't think that's wise to do that. So I'm just going to give him the coin. Hey,
All the way.
all of it.
I'd like to introduce Senator Pat O'Connor to offer his remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. That is a tough act to follow. Bill, I thought you did an amazing job. I just first wanted to introduce some of my colleagues who are here, some of which you'll hear from, others you may not, but we have Congressman Stephen Lynch in attendance. We have Secretary Lucia Pope, the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs. We have District Attorney Tim Cruz and select person Bill Ramsey, who you just heard from, as well as Mary Roy from Representative Murphy's office. I'm here doing triple duty to present 3 citations, 2 from the House and 1 from the Senate. But before that, I really wanted to give my perspective. Bill gave the perspective of Keith's career inside of the United States Navy, and I can't tell you how incredibly valuable Keith is as an asset to all of us in the legislature. It's not just Hingham, in which he represents the veterans' best interests. He really goes above and beyond and sees what bills are upcoming, what programs could potentially be offered, what services are needed, and he goes out and he acts on that. And he is one of the biggest advocates for veterans in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts, not just in Hingham, but taking the knowledge that he's been gained from the 28 years of experience, taking the knowledge he has now with JT being commissioned and having that perspective of being now a father of somebody who's in the military, the family perspective, obviously having that through both of you, Nancy and Lisa, just fantastic people, and taking that whole of what a veteran is and trying to make sure that policies really protect them and make sure that they can go out there and do what they need to do to protect our country and serve our flag. And one of the things that I think is most important is how much he tries to impress us upon the youth of Hingham. And one of the things that I'm most impressed about is the Veterans Appreciation Club that we have as part of the high school extracurricular activities that they can be part of. And they go out and they raise money for local veterans and they present at various different events. And I'll tell you, no community that I represent celebrates veterans the way that Hingham does. And that's due in large part to what Keith brings to the table as the VSO. There's events for every single... There's events and remembrances for every single branch of the military, for every service member that fought in various different wars and conflicts. And there's an appreciation, especially, and a very poignant ceremony for those who never returned home and are missing in action or a prisoner of war. And I just wanted to thank you, Keith, for everything that you do for our veterans, to wish you and your family an incredible next chapter as being a VSO. You are a true son of Hingham and a true son of Massachusetts. And with that said, one of the honors that we have in the legislature, in the state Senate, and the State House of Representatives is to offer the names of individuals or organizations who go above and beyond in our Commonwealth. And at the start of our sessions, we have those names read into the record officially. And so earlier this week, Keith, we had your name read into the record. They present us a special citation. And so Representative Murphy, Representative Moschino, who I know will be here in a little bit, she's also at another event, as well as myself, State Senator O'Connor, read into the record this for you, Keith. And it says that the Massachusetts State Senate and House of Representatives extends its sincere congratulations to Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn in recognition of your 28 years of distinguished service to the United States Navy and for your outstanding leadership and dedication to our nation, and that we in the House and Senate wish you and your family nothing but continued success in all that you do. We love you, brother. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the Secretary of the Massachusetts Department of Veteran Services, Colonel Cheryl Poppy, to offer her remarks.
Thank you, Senior Chief Chunglo, Congressman Lynch, Senator O'Connor, Chairman Ramsey, Captain Lagerquist, members of the military, Senior Chief Petty Officers, the family of Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn, veterans, friends, Senior Petty Officer Chief Jermyn. I'm going to call him Keith sometimes because that is the way that I have known him through many years. And I wanted to share just some of my interactions with Senior Chief Jermyn. For once I came to the Department of Veteran Services, I think, and the Senator touched on it already, the word that comes to me, two words, welcoming and inclusive. Because I'm no stranger to this town hall. I've been here when they dedicated that very dignified and respectful chair of honor to the prisoners of war and missing in action that was discussed earlier. When Rolling Thunder came in to place that honor. Senior Chief also organized a special workshop here on mental health for veterans, and Congressman Lynch was an active participant in that workshop. So you're not kidding about the events that have taken place here. So many organized and always invited, even if I couldn't make it. And then I heard quiet and powerful. Powerful I can agree with, quiet not. Of all these events, you know, Lisa, you've been there helping him, and all the family members I have seen, always letting me know when there's something that needs to be addressed, if there's a gap in service, or if there's just other ways that we can improve our benefits and services to our veterans and their families, because the family does serve too. And aside from all the deployments that we talk about that Keith has been on, it's just being in the reserve component, it is way more than a one weekend a month commitment. We've certainly learned that in the last 20 years, but he clearly exemplifies that. Very passionate about his vocation serving veterans as well as his military career. And, you know, even during his deployment, I can't remember if I have the dates all together here, but when I was at the Soldiers' Home in Chelsea, you emailed me, I think it was Christmas Eve on one of your deployments, to let me know that your daughter would be coming to intern for us at the Soldiers' Home with the music therapy program. So no surprise that there's that beautiful voice that we hear with Callie. And the following year, the Senior Chief came in full uniform before Christmas and accompanied Callie and all of us as we sang Christmas carols up and down the hallways of the long-term care facility and in the domiciliary as part of our holiday concert. So devotion 24/7 or 24/8, which today is Paul McCartney's birthday, so when we say 8 days a week, he really did work 8 days here. I also wanted to share just personally that CBs, and you probably don't know this, mean a lot to me. I grew up in Rhode Island. My father worked at Quonset Point, and when we would go to pick him up sometimes, because back then you just had one car in the family, we would see that CB statue as we would approach the gate. So the work that the CBs do, the Naval Construction Battalion, is so vitally important. So they mean a lot to me. And so we know you're moving on. You may be leaving your military career, but it really never does leave you, I can tell you that. Maybe you'll have some more time for your family, but we know that we will see your service to the Commonwealth and totally appreciate everything that you've done. So I would like to present at this time from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm not so good at reading sideways, to Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn. On behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of your 28 years of dedicated service to the United States Navy, this 18th day of June in the year 2022, signed Charles D. Baker, Governor, Karen Polito, Lieutenant Governor. And just one note about the Army-Navy, in case any of you didn't know, the Army-Navy game will be coming to Gillette Stadium in 2023. So get your tickets now.
I'd like to invite Congressman Stephen Lynch to offer his remarks.
Good afternoon. You know, this is Keith's day, but this is also a wonderful, wonderful day for Hingham, Massachusetts. And as I have said previously at town meeting, you know, I represent 21 towns and 3 cities, about 800,000 people. And I also have the wonderful honor of appointing young people to our military academies, to West Point, to the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, and also the Coast Guard Academy and the Merchant Marine Academy. And there is no town that has more young people consistently within this congressional district. There's no town that has more young men and women at those academies than the town of Hingham. And I'm not just talking about for a town. And I'm not just saying for a town of your size, I'm saying you have more than the cities in my district come out of the town of Hingham. So you have every reason to be proud. And I agree with Senator O'Connor and others that a big reason for that is sitting right there at the end of the aisle and Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn. He keeps that flame alive and that deep respect for military service that has been a long and strong tradition here in the town of Hingham. So I'm enormously proud to be here with you. I want to acknowledge all of our men and women in uniform who are here today, both active and reserve, and our veterans and Reverend clergy. Thank you for your blessing. It is a wonderful, wonderful moment, I think, to recognize service well done and great courage and commitment. To Lisa and to the Jermyn family, God bless you for putting up with the disruptions in your life that were necessitated by courageous military service. We realize, you know, I spent a fair amount of time visiting our sons and daughters in uniform, most frequently in Iraq and Afghanistan, but I know what the effect of repeat deployments can be. not only on our men and women in uniform, but also on families. And so I just want to thank you for your great loyalty and love and compassion for this Senior Chief Petty Officer. It is greatly appreciated. All my colleagues in government, thank you for being here as well. It is an honor for me to be here to recognize Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn's retirement from the United States Navy after a career of service that spanned almost 40 years, but there's 28 years of immediate service. So I've known Keith for many, many years, and so Keith's service goes beyond, as others have noted. I know Senator O'Connor mentioned that his service as a veteran service officer goes beyond the town of Hingham, right? And I must say that, like I said before, I have 21 towns and 3 cities, and there is no better veteran service officer than Keith Jermyn and what he does for our veterans. And that goes to whether it's a veteran who's a World War II veteran in their 90s and might for the first time need help, those proud veterans, or it could be a kid who just came home from MK Air Base in Romania on the Ukraine border. It doesn't matter. Keith is there for them and for their families, which sometimes it's the family that needs the help more than the individual that is deployed. And Keith has been there so many times. I remember a story that actually got played up in the Globe and the Herald a while back. It was about Keith Jermyn's great work on behalf of one of Hingham's own, Michael Leahy, who was then a 21-year-old Lance Corporal in the United States Marine Corps. And Lance Corporal Leahy had just returned to the United States after an 8.5-month tour of duty in Afghanistan. And when he arrived in Hingham on Wednesday, June 11, 2014, Keith Jermyn made sure that Lance Corporal's hometown greeted him with a hero's welcome. And hundreds, I remember this, hundreds of Hingham residents lined up, me among them, in the back along a 6-mile route, and we cheered for Lance Corporal Leahy as he was driven home, escorted by a fleet of Hingham police cars and Hingham Fire Department trucks and firefighters. But what many people didn't realize on that day was that Keith had organized all this in a matter of days because we didn't have much notice on this Lance Corporal's redeployment. But that was all done in a matter of days by Keith Jermyn, 2 days before he himself shifted off to Somalia on his 6th deployment with the United States Navy. And it just goes to the selflessness of this man and his willingness to make sure that others are taken care of, and it's never about Keith himself. So I am, for that reason, very, very glad that today is a day where we recognize Keith Jermyn and all that wonderful service that he's rendered to us all. So I have long remarks, but I'm not going to give them. What I'm going to do is we have some gifts. Bring it on. So I have two constituencies that I represent here. One is my congressional district, and Keith, can you step up here? So this is you're gonna like this. So this is from our congressional district. Wow. Is that it? Right? And believe it or not, I knitted that. So Keith, when everybody says those people in Congress don't do anything, you'll say, no, my congressman actually knitted me an Afghan. Stay there, though. We got more. This is one of the great things I get to do as a member of Congress is that on special occasions I can ask the architect of the Capitol to fly a flag over the United States Capitol. So I asked them to do this on the occasion of Keith's retirement, and it comes with a citation. This is the flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of the Honorable Stephen F. Lynch, Member of Congress. This flag was flown over the United States Capitol in honor of Senior Chief Petty Officer Keith Jermyn's retirement. With deepest gratitude for your 28 years of dedicated service to our nation as a member of the United States Navy, and with sincere hopes for a long and happy retirement. Thank you, Keith. And the next is from a constituency that is near and dear to Keith's heart, and our folks over at Walter Reed Military Hospital. And just think about all the work that Keith has done on behalf of wounded veterans and families that are wounded, and Gold Star families. That service is most precious of all and valued the most, I believe. But they sent out, knowing that you were Navy, they sent over this other blanket. They must have figured you're going to be cold for some reason. They're all from down south, so they must figure up there in Boston and Hingham along the water, we're going to be freezing. But anyway, another. And there's a lot more stuff in here, but I'm not going to bring it all out. Just know, look, Keith, we love you. We love you. Congratulations. And somehow I don't believe this is really retirement for you. You're not built that way, but we are blessed by your service, and God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Will Chief Booth and Chief Kennedy please escort Keith's wife, Lisa Jermyn, and his mother, Nancy Jermyn, to the stage. Lieutenant Kroll and Master Chief Ferlino, front center. Front and center.
What?
Front and center.
Oh, you really did.
Step right on up. Oops. Certificates of appreciation. To all who shall see these presents greeting, presented to Lisa and Nancy Jermyn, it's my pleasure to express the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy to you for enduring the frequent and long separation from your husband and son, Keith, as he served our country. These years that he spent away from you constitute a clear and noble demonstration of his love for his family and his country. You see, he left you in order to ensure a safer world and a surer peace. To those who say a single person cannot make a difference, I say you're wrong. Keith did, and your son is now beginning his naval service. Keith made our Navy stronger and kept our nation safe. Both the United States Navy thank both of you for enduring these separations. Signed, M.R. Johnson, Lieutenant Commander, Commanding Officer, NOSC, Quincy. Senior Chief Bistrick and Senior Chief Shute, post for the reading of Creating the Navy Wife. When the good Lord was creating Navy wives, he was into his 6th day of overtime. And an angel appeared and said,
Are you having a lot of trouble with this one? What's wrong with the standard model?
Well, the Lord replied,
Have you seen the specifications on this one? She has to be completely independent, must be sponsored to get on base, and have the quality of both mother and father during cruises. Be a perfect hostess to 4 or 40. Run on black coffee, handle emergencies without a Buper's manual. Be able to handle the flu, birthdays, move around the world if needed on a moment's notice. Have a kiss that can heal anything from a child's torn Valentine to her husband's weary day. Have the patience of a saint when waiting for the ship to come in, and have 6 pairs of hands.
Well, the angel shook his head and slowly said,
6 pairs of hands? No way.
and the Lord replied,
Don't worry, we'll create other Navy wives to help. Besides, it's not only the hands that are causing the problem, it's the heart. The heart must swell with pride when her husband sustains ache of separations, beat on it soundly and strongly when it's too tired to do so, and be large enough to say, I understand, when she really doesn't, and say, I love you regardless.
Lord, come to bed. You can finish this tomorrow.
I can't.
said the Lord.
I'm so close to creating something very special and unique. Already I have one that heals herself when she's sick. I'm thinking of my own wife now. Can feed 3 unexpected guests who are stuck in the area due to bad weather, and can wave goodbye to her husband from the pier or runway, and fully understand that it is important to our country that he leaves.
The angel circled the model of the Navy wife very slowly.
It's just too soft, he said.
But tough.
Said the Lord excitedly.
You cannot imagine what this woman can do or endure.
Can she think?
Asked the angel.
Can she think? Why, can she convert 1400 to 2 p.m.?
Finally, the angel bent over and gently ran his finger across the model's cheek.
There's a leak.
He pronounced.
I told you that you were trying to put too much into this model.
It's not a leak.
Said the Lord.
It's a tear.
What for?
Asked the angel.
It's for the joy, sadness, pain, disappointment, loneliness, and pride.
You're a genius.
Exclaimed the angel. But the Lord looked somberly at the angel and replied,
I didn't put it there.
Thank you, gentlemen. Senior Chief, would you stand by? Please assist in leading Keith's children, Nicholas, Callie, Dylan, and Ensign Jermyn, to the stage. Front and center, gentlemen. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings, presented to Nicholas, Callie, Dylan, and Ensign Jermyn. Today, after completing over 28 years of naval service, your father has endured his honorable and faithful service to his country. His efforts are sincerely appreciated. Such a rich and rewarding career reflects a strong commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy and the belief that they must be upheld at any cost. That type of total commitment is not possible without the full support of the entire family. Although you may have never had to carry out a military order, your loyalty and steadfast support of your father's career can rightly be viewed as service to your country. That loyalty and dedication exemplified the highest traditions of patriotism. On behalf of the Department of the Navy, I extend to you a sincere thanks and appreciation for a job well done. Given this 18th day of June, 2022, signed M.R. Johnson, Lieutenant Commander, Commanding Officer, NOS Quincy. I'd like to invite Master Chief Pearson to the stage. She will be presenting flowers to Keith's family. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce today's principal speaker, Captain Kirk Lagerquist. His military biography can be found in the ceremony program. Please welcome Captain Lagerquist for your remarks.
Don't worry, folks, I think we're about a quarter of the way through this. Seriously, I think the coronation of the Queen happens faster. I think they elect popes faster. So I know I'm not the main attraction and nobody really cares about some old windbag officer has to say, but I probably traveled the farthest and I got all dressed up, so please humor me. Congressman Lynch, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts elected officials, State Senator O'Connor, State Representatives Machino and Murphy, Secretary of Veteran Services Colonel Poppy, Town of Hingham Select Board Chair Ramsey, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, I am truly honored to be speaking here today to mark the culmination of naval service for Senior Chief Keith Jermyn. Keith is truly an outstanding naval leader, a proud member of the greatest fraternity on earth, that of the Navy Chief Petty Officer, a member of the United States Navy Seabees, whose exploits and illustrious legacy stretch back 80 years to the dawn of World War II. He is a citizen soldier of this great town of Hingham. He is a son, husband, father, and friend. He has mentored and trained countless sailors and Seabees around the globe in peacetime and in war. A Navy retirement ceremony is full of tradition that dates back thousands of centuries, or hundreds of centuries, for as long as there have been warships patrolling the oceans and seas. The goal is to recognize the hard work and sacrifices of the sailor over the course of their long and storied career. So today, we salute and recognize Senior Chief Jermyn for his 28 years of service, both as an active duty sailor and a Navy Reserve Seabee. And while the ceremony focuses much on Keith, we also salute the family who has endured the many separations for drill weekends, training evolutions, deployments, and reserve duty. His wife Lisa, his son Nick, daughter Callie, son JT, the newly minted ensign, and his mother Nancy. All right, look, we're over an hour. Anyone need to stand up for a second? Feel free. And I'm gonna call an audible. I'm gonna take this thing off because it like squishes my grape. Anyone else want to uncover? Hurts my head. All right, anyone not know what a CB is? Tell us? Okay. All right, first I'll give you a little background on Navy Seabees. And I recognize that many of you in uniform today are Seabees. And many of you in attendance don't have a clue what it is. But I know if you know Keith well enough, and he's certainly not bashful about bragging about the Seabees, so he may have already enlightened you on some of these facts. The Naval Construction Force was formed March 5th, 1942, less than 3 months following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The United States, and specifically the U.S. Navy, had been already building bases across the Pacific in anticipation of aggression from foreign adversaries. Once the U.S. officially entered World War II, the non-combatant construction contractors building those bases were ill-equipped, and it was actually against the Geneva Convention to take up arms. So Admiral Ben Morrell, Chief of Bureau of Yards and Docks, recognized the need to have skilled tradesmen that could build advanced bases on the islands across the Pacific Ocean to extend the reach of the Pacific Fleet for refueling, logistics support, and maintaining airfields to launch offensive on the enemy. In addition to be able to build, these Navy construction workers also need to be able to defend what they built, hence the Seabee motto of "We build, we fight." With the U.S. rallying around the war effort, Admiral Ben Morrell reached out to the union halls around the country to call up master craftsmen, skilled journeymen, and apprentices of all construction trades. So think of your carpenters, welders, plumbers, electricians, and heavy equipment operators, to name a few. The Navy recognized they could more easily teach men to fight than they could to build. These men were formed into 1,000-man construction battalion, CB for short, and sent out to far-flung islands to build and defend these advanced bases. The heroics of the Seabees in World War II are legendary. Numbering over 300,000 during the war, the numbers dropped to just under 10,000 following the war and were nearly disbanded altogether. But then Korea happened, then Vietnam. The Seabees removed a mountain in the Philippines and filled in a bay to create Clark Air Base. They constructed an entire base on an atoll in the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. They were there in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and a quick side story, the Seabees were so underfunded and devalued at the time, they were still wearing their classic solid green fatigues, which was nearly identical to the Iraqi army. During the 1990s, they participated in humanitarian missions around the globe and at home, responding to natural disasters, building schools, digging water wells in third world nations in order to win the hearts and minds of these people. And following the horrific events of 9/11, the Seabees were again expanded to support the global war on terrorism in Afghanistan, Iraq, in the Middle East, and the Horn of Africa. And even today, the Seabees are just as relevant as when they were first established. They have repositioned themselves to focus on the Pacific region and possible threats there. And as of recently, this is in the last few months, they have actually stepped foot again on remote islands in the South Pacific that haven't seen Seabees since World War II. So that's a very abridged story of the Seabees. I won't read Senior Chief's biography, it's there in your program. And he did not start out as a Seabee. He joined the Navy right out of high school in 1985 and became what Seabees affectionately call a fleeter. Those sailors who go on ship, haze gray and underway. I tried it once, I didn't really care for it. When he decided to separate from the Navy, he affiliated with the Navy Reserves, and the open ratings at the time were the Seabees. Then in 1993, he completely left the service. Fast forward 8 years, the atrocities of 9/11 happened, and Keith felt the call to serve once again. He joined back up with the reserves and didn't look back. His Navy career continued to progress. He served 2 deployments with Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 27. He has served all the way to today, mainly because I know how much it meant to him to be his son's first salute last month upon his commissioning as an officer in the United States Navy. So the German Navy legacy will continue, but now the Navy's telling this old salt, it's time to hang up your anchors. So while I feel like I've known Senior Chief Jermyn forever, and I'll explain that a little further later, my history with him only dates back to 2014, which feels hard to believe that that was 8 years ago already. I had drawn the short straw amongst my peers since I had not served enough time in the aforementioned garden spots of Iraq and Afghanistan. So I was ordered to be the public works officer for Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti, Africa. So to give a little geography lesson here, Djibouti is considered the Horn of Africa because as you look at the continent, it's shaped like a rhinoceros horn. The country sits east of Ethiopia, south of Eritrea, and north of Somalia. It's also about 15 miles across the water to Yemen. So a couple of these countries you may recognize as not being team players in the world. Additionally, the Bab al-Mandab Strait is a choke point between the Arabian Sea and the Red Sea and is the conduit leading to the Suez Canal, a much-traveled shipping lane. So it's a very strategic location for many reasons. And one more fact, it's situated at 11 degrees north latitude, which means it's very close to the equator. Hingham sits at 42 degrees, and yes, I looked that up. I say that because Djibouti was stupid hot. Most days, it was hot and humid with temperatures reaching 120. And when the winds shifted from the west, the hot air, dry air coming off the desert felt like a hairdryer in your face. And it's a very unpleasant environment, to say the least. So back to Camp Lemonnier. Following 9/11, this area took on a greater role in the global war on terror, and the US Navy put down a foothold by taking over a French air station. By the time I arrived there in June of 2014, the base was finally getting the needed infrastructure upgrades that it so desperately needed in order to become an enduring mission base. The Navy was using a process called individual augments in order to fill billets there, and heavily called upon the Naval Reserve Force to fill the manning. However, my Public Works Department had a mixture of active duty, reserves, government civilians, and even a couple of contractors. Most deployed there for about 12 months, which meant that each month, nearly 1/10 of my workforce turned over. Keith and I arrived within a couple of weeks of each other, and I would hold a Saturday afternoon all hands with my department to hand out awards and welcome new personnel and provide training and safety briefs. So Keith shows up to my first all hands, and I wouldn't necessarily call him bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. He looked a little shell-shocked with a "what the hell did I just get myself into" look on his face. I'm not commenting on Keith's physique, but I'll say it, he looks more like Old Sarge than Beetle Bailey. Remember, I said it was stupid hot, and I don't think Keith stopped sweating until about January. I didn't realize this until well afterwards, but Keith was the only reserve chief petty officer at the time he arrived, and the active duty chiefs were less than kind to him. As it related to me, he kept telling them, "Wait till Senior Chief Tom O'Connor arrives. He'll put you all in your place." So enter Tom. A couple weeks later, so now I have 2 reserve CB chiefs from Massachusetts, myself from Maine. The Red Sox nation was strong in public works. So I was actually at Fenway last night, nearly saw them collapse in the 9th, but fortunately they held on. So O'Connor tells me you re-enlisted one time at Fenway. Is that true?
No.
All right, well, he said you were standing on the dugout waving like Miss America, so. So I had a lot of chiefs in my department, which meant that I needed most of them to actually do some real work and not just sit in the office drinking coffee, telling sea stories, and barking at junior troops. So Keith was not afraid to roll up his sleeves and dive right in to whatever task we gave him. We assigned him as a performance assessment representative for the base operating support contract, meaning he had oversight of the contract to make sure they were executing the terms of the contract, specifically related to our trash collection, incinerator, and wastewater treatment plant. So here's this master electrician overseeing trash and poop, and he killed it. I could trust Keith to do any task that I threw his way. Throughout our time together, he was my go-to to get anything done. If I wanted it done right the first time, I knew Keith could do it. He busted his hump for 12 months, proving to me what an invaluable member of the team he was. I could not have asked for a better chief. So a little side story, as relayed to me by retired Master Chief Tom O'Connor here. So Keith apparently volunteered for this deployment in order to fully earn his post-9/11 GI Bill and ensure that he would have the transferability option, meaning he could transfer this college money to his son JT, who was just starting high school at the time. This is a substantial benefit, and depending on the school, could be worth close to $100,000. So Keith is on deployment, not because he needs to be there, but because he wants to be there to provide this benefit for his family. Now, I just learned this tidbit of information last month, and Keith didn't dispute it during his speech. but I was told that he broke his leg at some point during deployment. Not a bad break, more like a stress fracture. And knowing that if he reports this to the base medical clinic, they're probably going to send him home. And he risks not getting his GI Bill. So he toughs it out. He gets Tom to assist him, getting back and forth to the office. He seeks physical therapy with the Special Forces physician, and he nurses himself back to health. And I was none the wiser. So how come that took 7+ years to come out there, Singer? And the real kicker is, his son JT gets an appointment to the Naval Academy and it doesn't cost you a dime. Another story that speaks to Keith's character. Despite being a master electrician and a member of the International Brotherhood of Electricians, his former career, he now serves as the Director of Veteran Services for the town of Hingham, as we've heard here today. He's a certified Veteran Services officer with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it was because of this background that he would hold court with any and all sailors at Camp Lemonnier that wanted to know more about their veterans' benefits or needed to submit a claim for services. I heard you got Domino like 70%.
100. Sorry.
So he would review their records, provide counsel and advice, and in many cases would use his contacts to secure these hard-earned benefits for these people. He even reviewed my record one afternoon to make sure my GI Bill was aligned for my daughter to receive. This is his passion, supporting veterans and taking care of people. I'm also told that regardless of day or night, if he ever learns of a veteran in need, he will drop anything and go help him. He is just an exceptional human being. Sorry, there's one person I forgot to mention. Maybe traveled the second farthest from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Construction electrician, first class retired John Hoodenpauw. And his wife. I think you held court with him plenty of times.
Ram's on the way.
Oh, yeah? I'm sure it's no secret to the citizens of Hingham that from June 2014 to June 2015, Keith was deployed. How do I know this? Because of the weekly influx of care packages being received by Keith from the great people of this town, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and from across the United States. And when I say influx, over the course of 12 months, he received 2,271 pounds of care packages. They weren't all for him, but so he'd get 6 to 10 boxes at a time, and then he'd make an announcement to the whole Public Works Department that a new shipment arrived, and he'd go put them out in the hallway and give a time, and it was like the rats scurrying, and everyone would go rifle through and take what they needed, and it ranged from socks and toothbrushes and daily living essentials, magazines, books, and lots of snacks. Whatever the department did not take, he would then deliver to the chapel for anyone else at the camp to go through and take. We joked that he maintained a Walgreens in his room. He had shelves full of stuff at the ready for anyone and everything. If you needed toothpaste, go see Keith. And if you could see the smile on his face as the troops went through those boxes, again, that speaks to the character of this man, as well as the patriotism of this fine town. We held a CB birthday ball in March of 2015 to recognize and honor our CB history. Keith inserted himself into the planning process because this man does love tradition and pageantry, as evidenced here. I kind of feel like Patton standing there, and flag behind me. So we held where did my king go? All right. We held a Navy ball in October, but the CB ball was going to be the event of the year. Through dumb luck, I was able to secure Rear Admiral Kate Gregory, our Chief of Civil Engineers at the time and Commander of Naval Facilities Engineering Command and the de facto Queen Bee of the Seabees. She was affectionately known as Combat Kate and was a tiny little fireball of a lady. She was also a diehard Cardinals fan, and thankfully we won last night. And I was shocked at how many Cards fans were in the audience last night. But Keith whipped up a planning committee and got down to every last detail of how this ball was going to be celebrated. He insisted that we not only sing the first verse of the Song of the Seabees, but all three. And he even held choir practice with the junior officers to make sure they could sing it. So I didn't know you had singing talents there at the... How about that national anthem? That was awesome. He also secured coins shaped as tickets, and I brought mine. So in case you guys want to play games later. Oh, yeah. But anyways, so he made these coins. It's got the ACB logo on it, and then CB Ball, Camp Lemonnier, Djibouti, Africa, February 21st, 2015. And my coin is 001 because, as the senior CB on base at the time, he wanted to make sure that I got the first one. So thank you. He made sure the galley had the best food available to serve. We had a capacity of 300 personnel, and we had less than 100 CBs in Djibouti, but it was a sellout event. So it was the event of the year. He made sure the CBs were properly honored, and it was indeed the best social event. His meticulous planning is legendary, and this ceremony today is a testament to that. I got my invitation to this ceremony last August. So as I said at the beginning of my speech, I feel like I've known Keith forever. I say that because of the kind of man that he is, his character, his passion, his positive demeanor. He is the epitome of a Navy Chief Petty Officer. He is genuine and kind, yet gruff and hard-nosed when needed to be. Well, I myself am in a couple months from retiring. If the balloon went up tomorrow and they said I needed to form a CB group to go to war, the first call I'd make is to Senior Chief Keith Jermyn. I'd call you too, O'Connor. I can think of no better man, leader, and CB than Keith Jermyn. I salute you, Senior Chief, for a Navy career that began over 37 years ago, where you provided selfless service, both active duty and reserves, and as the veteran service officer of this town. Thank you again for allowing me to participate here today to honor you. Fair winds and following seas, shipmate.
I'd like to invite Master Chief A.J. Ball to offer his remarks, followed by the reading of the Chief Petty Officer Retirement Creed.
Nancy, Lisa, JT, Carla, thank you. All Chief Petty Officers, past and present, HUD 10, HUD. You have on this day experienced that which comes to all of us who serve on active duty in our Navy. I say our Navy because your departure from active duty in no way terminates your relationship. By law and tradition, U.S. Navy retirees are always on the rolls, ever ready to lend their service when the need arises. The respect that you earned as the Chief was based on the same attributes that will now carry into retirement. You should have no regrets. Do not ever view your retirement as an end of an era, but rather as orders to a new and challenging assignment, to a form of independent duty. Remember well that you have been and will always be an accepted member of the most exclusive of all fraternities, that of the United States Navy Chief Petty Officers. The active duty chiefs salute you. Your retired chiefs welcome you. I wish you the traditional fair winds and following seas. Chiefs, be seated.
Seniority in the Chief's Mess is measured by experience, heart, and courage. The courage to do the right thing, the heart to care about all of your sailors equally, the experience to guide the young, mentor your replacements, and to lead when and where others fear to go. There are several symbols by which the Chief Petty Officers are recognized. The most widely recognized are the anchors we wear. Many would also say that it's the battered combination covers that symbolize the weathered wisdom of a seasoned chief. There is another treasured symbol of the Chief Petty Officer, one that harkens to the days of wooden ships and iron men. Our heritage recalls the day when the cry went up aboard sailing ships, "Boarders away," followed by a band of screaming, courageous blue jackets storming the decks of an enemy man of war. Leading the men was an intrepid officer, often the skipper himself, and at his shoulder, protecting him from harm and setting the example to his shipmates, was a calm, rock-hard sailor, perhaps the captain of the topmast or the senior bosun mate. Today, they would be called Chief. Senior Chief Jermyn, front and center. Senior Chief Audie Martin, please step forward. In his hands, Senior Chief Martin carries one of the most recognized symbols of American naval service, a cutlass. The Chief Petty Officers Mess of Greater New England presents Senior Chief Jermyn this 1861 Ames pattern cutlass, identical to those carried by United States Navy sailors from the Civil War until the 1930s. The cutlass was officially discontinued from service in 1949. In 2010, the Chief of Naval Operations approved the return of the cutlass to its place of honor. It is emblematic of the bravery of our Navy and of our core values of honor, courage, and commitment. The cutlass, combined with the gold-fouled anchors surmounted by the silver letters USN, are representative of the Chief Petty Officers Mess and represents all that our shipmate and brother, Senior Chief Jermyn, embodies and continues to stand for. The blade has been inscribed with his name and rank. Without any further ado, the man of the hour, my brother, my mentor, and my friend, Senior Chief Jermyn.
Thank you so much. Please be seated. Thank you. All my family, friends, federal, state, local officials here today. I aptly penned this shortly after I sent that invitation back in August. I started this, I call it my swan song. And again, I want to thank all of you who have made the journey here today from as near as a few blocks away. Spider, Lynchy made it. And as far as Southern California, Kentucky, Michigan, Florida, and New Mexico. And also my dear friend Andy Burns, who was on the bagpipes. He was inadvertently left out of the program, so for Andy. So more than once I told my family to buckle up when someone starts a speech with a date of any kind, because it's going to be very, very long-winded. So not to fall on my own sword, no pun intended, I won't be mentioning a lot of dates, just the important ones. The rest are in my bio. Please take a look inside your program. But what I do want to do is read this little story by Gene Ormerson, also located in your program. This story has deep meaning to me, and hopefully it outlines why I find myself at the podium today. Feel free to follow along, as I will be interjecting my own commentary throughout the rendition. Mine goes something a little like this. The train of life. At birth, we boarded the train and met our parents. Mine were Billy Jermyn, an Irish Protestant from West Hingham, and Nancy Calvi, an Italian Catholic from North Hingham. It was the winter of '66, and needless to say, it was tough to be of different ethnicities at that time, but even tougher to be of a different religious sect. And we believe they will always travel by our side. However, at some station, our parents will step down from the train, leaving us on the journey alone. My father, Billy, left us in the fall of 2013, but he assured us all that he would see us on the other side. As time goes by, other people will board the train, and they will be significant. For instance, our siblings, friends, children, and even the love of your life. My sister Carla boarded in the winter of '69. Friends, Fole, Hutchie, Rob, they've ridden that train since '72. And the love of my life, Lisa Clore, was waiting in her hometown station of Queens, New York. She jumped on board in the fall of '86. She brought me everything my life needed, everything that was missing. She made me whole with her gift of compassion, her innate way of seeing the good in the world. Our children came along soon after we were married. They were on what I call the 5-year installment plan, each bringing their own attributes to the family dynamic. Beginning with Nick, our oldest, the spring of '89. He is our family strength. Callie, the summer of '94. She is by far the harmony. And finally, JT, who, by the way, refused to wait till the new millennium when we could have got free diapers for the whole year, boarded the last few days of '99. He is our family's laughter. Many others will step down and leave a permanent vacuum. Papa Joe, Anna M., Hopi, Dickie, just to name a few. While many others will go so unnoticed that we didn't even really realize that they vacated their seats until they were gone. My shipmate, Corky Kelly, 2018. This train ride will be full of joy, sorrow, fantasy, expectations, hellos, goodbyes, and farewells. Success consists of having a good relationship with all the passengers, requiring that we give the best of ourselves. The mystery to everyone is we do not know which station we ourselves will step down. So we must live in the best way we can. The best of who I am was given to this country. It was given to the Navy and ultimately given to all of you, known and unknown, in the form of freedom through sacrifice. I was at my best because all of you whom I had the honor of serving with, my mess, my shipmates, and my troops. You are the blood and treasure of this nation. Not only did we believe in our motto, we lived it. The difficult we did right away, the impossible took us a little longer. The man I chose to call Skipper, Captain Lagerquist, climbed on board, as he said, in the summer of 2014 on the Horn of Africa. As I recall, he once called me a special CB. A throwback, old school and hardcore. I guess it was because of my can-do attitude. But to me, it was because of his expert leadership. His ultra-professionalism, vast knowledge, and true empathy for all those under his command made him stand out to me. He had command presence. So much so that I still call him Skipper to this day. Sir, sailing with you has made me better. Living the best way we can means to love, to forgive, and offer the best of who we are. My old spiritual leader, another Navy man, Seaman Deuce McHugh, who left the train in the winter of 2020, used to continually tell me about my mission. Not in DOD terms, but in God's terms. He said to me on many occasions that you live your best life through Scripture, and you, Chief, live it in real time. Matthew 25, verses 35 through 40, to be exact. I am extremely lucky and truly blessed because of my civilian job affords me the opportunity to feed the hungry, clothe the poor, and help the infirmed. I learned this unique craft by choosing civilian mentors like Evan, who's seated here today, Bill Leamy, Coleman Nee, and Colonel Cheryl Poppy. It is important for us all to live and give the best of who we are, because when the time comes for us to step down and leave the seat empty, we should leave behind beautiful memories for those who will continue to travel on the train of life. My fondest memories of the Navy will be the summer and fall of 2009, when I and 11 other individual sailors became one team. Unity, service, navigation. We joined the ranks of the Chief Petty Officers Mess, and the daily weight of carrying those anchors only made us better. Better leaders, better friends, and better human beings. Folks, I could go on all day and not be able to thank all of those that have boarded my train. I've tried to keep this light, summarizing one man's life full of honor and commitment. I wish you all a joyful journey on your own train. Reap success when you are able. Give lots of love whenever you can, but more importantly, thank God for the journey. Lastly, I thank you for being one of the passengers on my train, if you are here and seated today. God bless you all. God bless the Commonwealth, and God bless America.
Flag detail. Post. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony you are about to witness honors our nation's most cherished symbol of freedom, the Stars and Stripes. Keith's service flag has been flown at the following locations in honor of his military service: the USS Constitution, the U.S. Naval Memorial, the United States Naval Academy, the Pentagon, Bunker Hill, the Seabee Memorial, and Arlington National Cemetery. At this time, Senior Chief Tom O'Connor will read Old Glory.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident, I am arrogant, I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped, I am saluted, I am respected, I am revered, I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, and a score of places long forgotten by all except those who were there with me. I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill on Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I was at Ground Zero in New York City on September 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters, heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloodied, will never be beaten. Those who would destroy me cannot win, for I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And it was when it is by those whom I have served with in battle, it hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the surly bonds of earth. From my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I am torn into strips, to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the grave of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
Flag detail, left side, about face. Forward.
I'd like to invite Ensign Jermyn to read the watch.
The watch. Aye, mates, for 28 years this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this sailor stood the watch. And yes, even before some of us were born, this sailor stood the watch. As our families watched the storm clouds of war brewing on the horizons of history, this sailor stood the watch. He stood the watch for 28 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly in safety each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved, relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Senior Chief Petty Officer Jermyn. You stand relieved. Father, I have the watch.
The order, bosun, stand by to pipe the side, has been passed on naval ships from the early 1500s through today. Yes, every Navy in the world had used the bosun call and side boys to bring aboard and send ashore its officers and visiting dignitaries. The bosun would pipe the side as the side boys raised or lowered the boarding platform, and this was done so that the officers or visiting dignitaries would not have to climb the rat lines that the cruise ship used. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a naval ship to order up the jolly boat, 8 strong backs to man the oars, along with the bosun and side boys to send an old shipmate ashore to his retirement, and ashore home, never to sail a Navy ship again. All hands on deck was passed. The commanding officer would make a speech telling about the retiree service, the great battles fought upon the open seas, the victories, the storms weathered, voyages to strange and distant lands, ports of call visited that only others could dream about, and he would also speak of shipmates left behind. The bosun would stand tall as the side boys and the crew were called to attention. The retiree would step on the quarterdeck, salute the commanding officer, and request permission to go ashore. Once permission was granted, the retiree would step onto the platform and salute the flag he served. Then he would be seated in the stern seat of the jolly boat as the side boys lowered away the jolly boat following the bosun's call. The ship's gunner would fire a final salute from the main battery. The United States Navy was the first Navy to provide side honors to its enlisted crewmen. In the early to mid-1800s, enlisted men were holding retirements for their enlisted shipmates. After the Civil War, the commanding officer would take part in these enlisted retirements to show that he and the Navy recognized the contributions made by our enlisted sailors. And still today, we heave stop on all engines, lay about smartly, drop anchor, and stand by to pay honor to one of our shipmates. A shipmate going ashore, honoring those years served, the guidance, the leadership, the expertise, and above all, the friendship that this shipmate has given over the past 28 years. Bosun, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate going ashore. Will the guests please rise and remain standing for the benediction and departing honors? Colonel Anderson will now deliver the benediction.
Let us pray. Brothers and sisters, we will listen to the words of St. Paul, most appropriate for the Seabees. For we are God's co-workers. You are God's field, God's memorial. Like a wise master builder, I laid a foundation, and another is building upon it. Let us ask God, our all-powerful Father, that on this day of celebration, He bless our brother, Senior Chief Jermyn, and his family as they begin this new chapter in their lives. Bless them abundantly for the sacrifices they have made and their many contributions to the safety and the security of our great country. We pray that you will watch over them in all the days that lie ahead. And may the Lord God bless you all today and kindly receive the desires of your hearts. Amen.
Lieutenant Kroll and Senior Chief Jermyn, front and center. All Chief Petty Officers, man the rails. Prepare to pipe a shipmate ashore. Ladies and gentlemen, Senior Chief Jermyn will now report to Lieutenant Kroll and request permission to go ashore for the last time.
Officer to deck, permission to go ashore.
Permission granted.
Bosun, pipe the Senior Chief ashore. Senior Chief, United States Navy, retired, departing. It has become customary following a retirement ceremony for the family to be piped ashore as well, honoring them for their support and sacrifices made throughout a military career. Senior Chief, United States Navy, retired, and family, departing.